Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome, everyone. This is your co-host, Seth Green. Today, I have the good fortune to be joined by Will Hare from Bellavix.com, a full-service Amazon and Walmart agency. Will, thanks so much for joining us.
Seth, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
It is our pleasure. Let's go back in time just a little bit. How did you get started?
I started doing marketing and advertising work. Like most advertisers, I started off on Google, and Google is the gateway drug to Amazon. So as I progressed my career as in the agency life, the e-commerce brands would come and be like, hey, can you figure out this Amazon nut? I know I can make a lot of money here. And just started picking up a lot of experience there. And then in 2018, decided to start my own agency, and I've been running Bellavix since then. And today we got about $500 million in sales on the platform. We're in the Amazon Service Provider Network, and we've had a lot of work with really, really fun brands and challenging marketing problems.
Well, that is, I'm sure the longer version of that story could probably be in a book somewhere if it isn't already. And I love that you said, I think this is a writer downer, that Google is the gateway drug. I don't know that I'd ever referred to it as that before, but I'm going to swipe. I will quote you, but I'm using that. That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do on Amazon and Walmart.
Yeah, so we're considered a full service partner. So pretty much anything you could do in the back end is what we manage. So from an operational standpoint, making sure your account health is on point, the listing attributes are in properly, demand forecasting, you don't have too much inventory or not enough inventory. Then we do the marketing and SEO, which is promotions, and then search engine optimization. And then advertising, we do pay-per-click advertising, and we also have our own seat for Amazon DSP, which is programmatic. So we do on the platform, and we also do streaming TV for those brands that can afford it.
That is absolutely incredible. So who is an ideal client for you?
Yeah, so it varies, but I'd say if you're an e-commerce brand and you're doing a couple $1 million a year, you're probably at a good point if you're not on Amazon to get on Amazon. And if you are on Amazon doing that, there's an opportunity to scale. We've taken several sellers from just under 7 figures into that 8-figure territory. So launches, we don't do as much, and smaller brands, not as much. But when you're ready to get to that next level, we're here for you.
Awesome. What are some of the biggest, most common mistakes that your e-commerce brands are making before they get to you that you guys help them with?
So not controlling map policy. If you have any type of wholesale arrangement and you're not monitoring that, that stuff does end up on marketplaces, and we get a lot of third party and counterfeiters, which can be an issue. If you don't do brand registry, then you don't control your brand on the platform. So contribution ends up being an issue. I get messages like, hey, Will, my title keeps changing, and some guy keeps changing it, and that's because you didn't register your brand properly, or you're not controlling or know who is wholesaling your products. Those are some of the big ones. Outside of that, if you're unexperienced in Amazon, we find that a lot of people just try to do what they're doing on their website, but it is its own ecosystem. So it just operates a lot differently in terms of how you scale, how you index, and how you make money on Amazon.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about, the making money part. You've had some incredible results. Can you talk a little bit about, hey, this was client A, this was the issue they were having when they came to us, here's what we did, and here's what amazing magical result transformation we kind of made happen?
Yeah, definitely. So if I think of a client that's a good fit, yeah. So I could think of a brand. It's a supplement brand. They came to us doing like 70 to 80K a month, and they were looking to scale. They're a Canadian-based brand, but they were also looking to penetrate the US market. But we couldn't get really anything off the ground. And it came down to a couple things, like their content was slightly outdated. So we did a big overhaul with their A plus content, and that improved conversion rates. Once we knew what our conversion rate was pretty consistently, we got a little more aggressive on pay per click advertising. So we started driving more relevant traffic to the listings, which helped elevate and raise sales. And then secondarily, we implemented a programmatic strategy. So we're able to kind of start conquesting and getting shoppers mid funnel as they're educating themselves on these were uh, these products are for kidney diseases and stuff like that. So like a very specific demographic. But if you have these issues, you'd be looking for these types of solutions. And so we were able to capture those customers while they were in the research phase. And then as a result, we saw sales continue to increase. This is one of our eight-figure brands. So 3 years later, we're an eight-figure brand. We've expanded US, Canada, the UK, and we're getting into Mexico now. So it's a great story, and I'd love to get more of those.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. Can you talk a little bit about what happened? Like, you've also seen the opposite side, right? You've seen people not listen to you and have it not work. We've all had some of those. Clients don't always do what we need them to do. You don't have to share their name. It could just be ABC Incorporated, but can you give me an example of one of those?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the challenges and that we dealt with was like this happens sometimes. Like if you're competing to be the cheapest option and you don't leave any margins for any type of budget for us to do marketing, promotions, and advertising, you really kind of hamstring yourself into like whatever demand trickles in and actually find your brand. So there was a pet manufacturer who did like pet supplements, and unfortunately, they weren't really doing any off platform marketing, and their margins were just like razor thin. It's like it cost them $10 to get it in, and we were selling it for like 16. So we just didn't have any opportunity to move, and they were really niche, so they started off with really good sales. They were about a $500,000 brand, but then of course these other sellers saw what they were doing. The competition came into the market, and because we weren't doing any brand building, because we couldn't really do effective advertising without spending more than the product's worth, sales diminished, and we weren't able to kind of get them back on track. So they ended up moving to a different product line. They started doing pet shampoos. We had better margins on there, and we started working through that vertical for them.
Awesome. Well, I love how you were, despite the initial adversity, able to help them eventually see the light and improve. Talk a little bit about what you're doing on Walmart.
Yeah, so we love Walmart. Walmart's still a first mover advantage. So we work with a lot of 3P sellers. The sales velocity, like 10 to 20% of what you're doing on Amazon or your website, is kind of the opportunity. But the big opportunity is if you can get sales and demonstrate that there's demand for your product, the opportunity is to get in a brick and mortar Walmart. And we know there's a Walmart within 10 miles of every major city. So that's most exciting. We manage same thing on Amazon. We do the end-to-end experience. It is more of a challenging platform because you're competing with one-piece sellers and sellers that are fighting for retail space. So it's very competitive. But if your niche, if your if your product's a good fit for the market and you are more price conscious, it is a good opportunity. So it's not for every brand, but it is great for certain types of sellers.
Are there any rules in terms of, like Amazon obviously has FBA, right?
Yeah.
Where you're shipping product to them and they're shipping it out. Does Walmart work the same way? Are there minimums in terms of how much stuff you got to ship to Bentonville or however? How does that work?
Yeah, no minimums. They have WFS, which is Walmart Fulfillment Services. It operates just like Amazon. The cost and fees are about the same. And what I'll say about Walmart is anything Amazon's doing now, Walmart's about 2 years behind. So I'm going to their seller conference here in a couple months, and I'm banking on seeing everything Amazon's working on just last year. So I'll be ahead of the game, and we'll learn a lot and make more connections.
Awesome. With all the success you've achieved, not just for your clients, obviously, but for yourself, I mean, what's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge as somebody who's looking to scale their agency, it's recruiting, finding good quality talent that adheres to our process and is as passionate about helping e-commerce sellers is something that I'm diving deep in. We adhere to the bar raiser methodology, which is an Amazon method from working backwards essentially, and hiring somebody better than the last person is kind of what we're going through. So just the challenges of finding good people who aren't lying and not using AI, which is something that is killing us right now. But we've recently hired two strategists that are killing it, and looking forward to just kind of making this more predictable.
Awesome. Well, you brought up AI, so can you talk a little bit, at least on the Amazon side? They've got some interesting new AI tools. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, AI is next level. So Prime Day just passed. We're in July, and Amazon put out that they saw a 3,300% increase from 2024 the use of AI. So in terms of like how we uh, optimize for AI, it's the Q&A section, and it's building in semantic language all over your listing where you can. Titles where it makes sense, bullets where it makes sense, because the shopper's no longer like, I'm looking for this type of supplement. They're like, I have a back pain. What should I take? And AI is making recommendations. So, in order to get visibility, if you're not using some of that semantic language, if you're not putting it everywhere you can, you're not going to get found. And it's only going to get, we're only going to go deeper into this AI world. So, it's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. You mentioned the team. Can you talk in recruiting? Can you talk a little bit about the team you've built that's working with you?
Yeah, so we're a global business. We're a remote organization. So everybody who works with us is remote. We're based out of North Carolina. We hire a lot in South and Central America as well as Canada. And we're not a huge team. We're about 16 full-time employees, and we do everything we can to build culture and foster an environment that allows people to grow professionally and feel fulfillment in their role.
That is awesome. With all the, I mean, you've achieved your passion. It's obvious. What's your what do you like best about what you're doing?
Yeah, I love helping sellers. So like being an entrepreneur myself, like I can't tell you how many people I meet that are like a biology major, but they're passionate about bike riding, and they solve this really weird problem about attaching their bike to their trunk, for example. And it's like it's so cool to see like to feed off their passion and then to help them actually take those products to market, introduce it to the right customers, and like help them. At the end of the day, sales is what drives all these businesses. So it's just fun to be on a lot of entrepreneurs' journeys, and it's fun for the ones that stick around for, we have customers that have been with us for over 4 years at this point. And it's just crazy to see the evolution, and it brings me a lot of joy.
I bet. Well, that is awesome. For our folks who are watching or listening who are either Amazon or Walmart sellers in your category or they want to be, where is the best place for us to send them to learn more about you?
Yeah, so check out our website, bellavix.com. I'm sure there will be a link somewhere. And then you can check me out on LinkedIn. I put something out almost every day on some of the updates in the platform and how it impacts sellers. So check me out, Will, hair like on your head with an E, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only guy who shows up.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about your podcast and your blog?
Yeah, so we have a podcast, Selling on Giants. We're the same thing. We interview other professionals in the e-commerce space. So this isn't limited to Amazon and Walmart. They also talk about Shopify, WooCommerce, and anywhere else you could sell products. And we dive into the different challenges or solutions out there. And in terms of our blog, we give away all our information. We give away the knowledge and we sell the implementation. So we have a lot of step-by-step guides, and a lot of our content is based on challenges that our sellers have faced and the solutions that we've implemented to help them kind of get through those challenges. So a lot of step-by-step guides, a lot of case studies, and other aspects if you're considering selling on marketplaces.
Awesome. Well, this has been Seth Green with Will Hare from bellavix.com. Will, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.